Welcome back into Hittin' Hard with Jon Chuckery here on Locked On Sports Atlanta. Head over to youtube.com. Find us in the search browser, Locked On Sports Atlanta. Subscribe to our page. Leave us a comment if you would. Free and available too on all your favorite podcast platforms, including Spotify and Odyssey. 5-star review is there. And of course, as always, give me a follow on my personal Twitter page at JMCH316. Hey, I want to tell you real quick here before we talk to our buddy Grant McAuley about BlueNile.com. It is your place to get all of your online jewelry. Look, if you have an engagement coming up, I know it's summertime, people are in love, right? You're getting ready. You want to maybe pop the question to you. BlueNile.com is the place to go. You can check out and build the engagement ring of her dreams there at BlueNile.com. One simple online tool that lets you choose the diamond shape, size, clarity, as well as the setting style. Blue Nile's Bench Jewelry will handcraft a perfect engagement ring for her. Each ring is obviously one of a kind. Maybe you're not getting engaged. Maybe it's just an anniversary, a celebration, whatever like that. Life special moments with fine jewelry. Looking for it. You want to talk to somebody. You want to figure out what the best gift is. They have experts on hand 24/7 for you at BlueNile.com. And right now we have a special offer for our Locked On Sports Atlanta listeners. You get $50 off your purchase of $500 or more. $50 off your purchase of $500 or more if you use the code Locked On. Use the code Locked On, LOCKEDON at BlueNile.com. Every order is insured, ships free, and it arrives in a discreet package. So she's not going to know what's going on with it. You're not going to give anything away. BlueNile.com is the place to go to get all of your jewelry, and use that code Locked On to get $50 off your $500 purchase. We bring into the show my good friend Grant McAuley. He, of course, part of the Locked On Braves POSTCAST show. You can follow Grant on Twitter at Grant McAuley. And Grant, I'm not trying to overhype what this Mets series is, but certainly the season is going to be dictated by how this team plays against the New York Mets. I do think it is important to try to win this and protect home field advantage and just remind the Mets of who the big boys are on the block in this division.
Yeah, I mean, we're talking about a team that won the division 4 consecutive years and won the World Series last year. So if they need a reminder, I'm sure the Braves can come up with one. And we're also talking about a season series that has not even come close to being decided. The Braves and Mets split a 4-game set in New York. They have split the first couple of games here in Atlanta, and they've got, 12 more battles between these two teams after Wednesday's finale. So there's a lot still to be decided over the final 70-plus games of the Major League Baseball season. We got the trade deadline coming up. There's all kinds of different storylines that are going to be tied into the Braves and the Mets battling it out for NL East supremacy in 2022. But, even once that's decided, then you get into October, then the real games begin. So we'll see how it all plays out for both these clubs.
Strider last night, only 1 run, 8 strikeouts and 4 2/3, did not get the win. But, it's become the big question that people are talking about. Okay, there's a camp that says, hey, just pitch him till his arm falls off. He's young and all that good kind of stuff. Then there's the camp that says, oh, we got to baby him and all this. I know probably you and I kind of fall in between the middle. Where do you think realistically? Do you think it's an innings thing? Do you think it's that they're going to monitor pitch counts? How do you think they handle Strider moving through the rest of the season?
Yeah, I talked to Brian Snitker about this last week or on this homestand, and it's not about shutting him down a la Steven Strasburg or trying to come up with an artificial innings limit that's going to guarantee that you never get tired or you never run into an injury. Like that kind of thing doesn't exist, and we've seen kind of the extreme of both, where maybe you push a guy too hard and maybe it becomes an issue. But I think if you manage the workload as you go along throughout the season, and give him time if he does need time, and just kind of, talk to the pitcher and he listens to his arm, I think that he's going to be able to pitch as well as he needs to for as much as he needs to throughout the course of the season. We're not asking the guy to go out there and throw 8, 9 innings every time. The days of 10, 12, 15 or more complete games are long since over. So having Spencer Strider out there every 5th day is something that makes the Braves a better team, and they're going to pursue that as long as they possibly can. And if anything, John, if you think about it, maybe that time he spent in the bullpen early in the season kind of gives him a little bit more leeway as you get deeper into the year, because he's going to set, if he's healthy, a career high in innings pitched in his professional career and throw more innings than he's ever thrown in a collegiate season either. But maybe that's something that kind of helped him ramp up this year. And now that he's in rotation, you're happy he's there, and see how far he can carry you.
Wonder if maybe the decision about postseason, about whether or not he's going to pitch himself into a starting spot, or if you want a guy coming out of the bullpen with 100-mile-an-hour stuff, I mean, that's what I think is going to be the real fascinating thing is what kind of role Strider may have when we get to the postseason this year.
If the Braves have their full assortment of relief pitchers, I don't think that you need to make the reaction of, feeling like, hey, well, Spencer Strider needs to move back into the bullpen simply because he throws hard. I mean, he does throw hard, but he does carry his velocity throughout his starts as well. So I'm not especially worried about that. But if you line up the way that the Braves pitchers have done this year and how things have gone this season, I mean, you have to feel pretty good about Spencer Strider. After Max Fried and after Kyle Wright, and I know Charlie Morton's really come on the last 5 or so weeks, but Ian Anderson's kind of been up and down all year long, been a little bit enigmatic. And I know Ian, a lot of his most success of his young big league career is in the postseason, but I got a hard time not giving Spencer Strider the opportunity to help me win games and to be an impact arm in the rotation more so than just limiting him to being a bullpen piece at this point. And I think that he continues to go out there and give you reasons why. And so at the moment, if the postseason started tomorrow, which I can assure you it does not, Spencer Strider's the guy that I'd be looking to get starts in postseason series.
Ronald Acuna Jr., a little bit of struggles here of late. It some of it is the optics, right? I mean, a couple of these defensive plays here of late. Is there anything to read into it? Anything that you're seeing, from Ronnie where he's struggling or anything like that? Or just like every major league player, is it just a little bit of a rough patch right now for him?
Yeah, I mean, you go through it some. The defense has been questionable in a couple of times, and in particular, that play that was not made on Francisco Lindor's triple in the second game of the Mets series, that was not a great time to give up an extra base. Now Lindor got stranded, so you didn't have to look at it and say, okay, well, you gave him an extra run. That run was going to score on that base hit anyway, so that wasn't any part of the question. And I feel like if you look at the overall body of work for Ronald Acuna Jr., I feel like it's going to be there by year end, but he is kind of going through it right now. And that's just something that big league players do go through. I looked up last 24 games coming into Wednesday's finale against the Mets, hitting just 211, OPS down around 600, only 4 extra base hits in the last 24 games as well. We saw him get real emotional and excited about that home run against Washington. You simply want to see more of those. He's hit the ball hard and not been rewarded some here lately on this homestand. And hopefully, if he continues hitting the ball hard, he's going to find some spots for some base hits. And more importantly, for Ronald Acuna Jr., I think what we've come to expect, a lot of home runs that go a very, very long way.
Grant, when we look at where the Braves are right now offensively, by and large, this team has really made a big jump here in the last several weeks. Obviously, Olsen has found his long ball stroke. You're getting big contributions out of Austin Riley. You think the Braves offense has by and large hit their stride? I mean, is this more of what we kind of expected the Braves offense to be for this season?
I think it is. I mean, you're getting a career year out of Dansby Swanson. You're getting what you came to expect out of Austin Riley. I think Matt Olson still has another gear. And we just talked about Ronald Acuna Jr. He hasn't gone on one of those prodigious tears where for a couple or 3 weeks, you just can't seem to find a way to get this guy out. After that, I think as you look up and down the Braves lineup, there have been some opportunities for other guys to step up. The Braves catching duo of Travis d'Arnaud and William Contreras, well, they're both all-stars, and for good reason, because if you put what they've done behind the plate offensively together, they have put up the best numbers of any catching tandem in all of Major League Baseball. The Braves getting big-time production from behind the plate, and you really haven't gotten a lot out of Ozzie Albies because before he got hurt, he had not hit his stride either. So I don't know if I would say that the Braves have necessarily, hit full gear. I know Michael Harris II has helped at the bottom of the order, being able to kind of set the tone a little bit down there and set the table for the top guys. But, there's still, I think, another level for this Braves offense to find, which should be pretty scary for a team that's leading the National League in home runs and that's been on a pretty good tear, an extended run for the last 7 weeks.
Riley, the most egregious guy left off the Braves for the All-Star team. I mean, seems like, and I understand, look, Machado and Arenado are having terrific seasons. I mean, it's not a knock on Riley to say that he hasn't maybe had some of what they have had this year, but he's had a good enough season that you would figure he should be on the All-Star team.
Yeah, he has. I think if anything, he might be getting hurt by the fact that there are 5 Braves already on the All-Star team, and it's very difficult to get beyond that number typically, even for the defending world champions. But Austin Riley is a huge reason the Braves are the defending world champions. He's a huge reason why they've closed in on the Mets for first place in the National League East again this year, and he's on pace for 40-plus doubles and a career high in home runs. He hit 33 homers last year, John. He's already at 24 home runs, and we're still, what, 4 or 5 games away from the All-Star
Right.
break. So to say that he hasn't made strides this year, would be, grossly negligent in my book. I mean, he's going to set a lot of career highs this year as far as his weighted runs created. That's way up from last year. As far as his wins above replacement, that's way up from last year. And again, we're talking about a guy that I felt like should have been in the top 5 for MVP consideration last year. So there is another level to his game, and I would love to see him get that recognition. And we'll see over the next few days if somebody does have to bow out, can't play in the game, if somehow they're able to get Austin Riley in there with his teammates, because I feel like he deserves that recognition, not just for what he did last year, but for what he continues to do this year, for being a big reason why the Braves are the team they are.
Last thing for you, Grant. I love the Cano signing. Gives you a chance to maybe platoon at second base with RC. I think Snicker kind of talked a little bit about that. You've got no risk involved in this. I mean, it's a low-level deal and stuff like that. And you got a veteran. I mean, you got a veteran that if he can come in and do anything, and we've seen Double-A make these reclamation projects, right? Soler wasn't doing anything in Kansas City before they brought him over last year. Rosario had done nothing basically for the Indians. I love this signing. I mean, I think it makes a lot of sense to bring a guy like this in and see what you got for no risk.
I agree. And it costs you nothing. And if it doesn't work, you move it along and you try the next thing, and you already have Orlando Arcia in-house. But, since Ozzie Albies has been hurt, offensively speaking, the Braves haven't gotten much out of second base. And I know that Ozzie had, again, not having the kind of season that we've become accustomed to see from him and get from him over the course of the first couple of months either. But, I think you had to try something. And the Braves have been looking to find ways to get some left-handed bats into their very right-handed heavy lineup. Having Eddie Rosario back helps, but getting Robinson Cano in, a guy that has been through, a lot in his 17-year big league career, a guy that has a very big resume. And I know that, he's not the same guy he was even 4 or 5 years ago, but I do think that there's still some value there. And you saw in the first game, a couple of line drives that were about 110, 112 miles an hour off the bat. So the bat speed's there. And if that's there, I think that it's worth figuring out what you got. He made a couple nice plays around the bag. And if you can catch lightning in a bottle there, and the way he was hitting in AAA makes you feel like he's got a little bit left in the tank, a little bit of tread still on that tire. If you're the Braves, why not try it out? You're not having to pay the $24 million or whatever it is he's making this year. So I do like that signing. And again, it's a guy that I think has been a lot of places, knows how to win, and bringing him into that clubhouse, I don't think is a bad thing either.
Check him out nightly, free and available on our YouTube page, all your favorite podcast platforms, Locked On Braves Postcast. He is Grant McAuley, and you can follow him on Twitter at Grant McAuley. As always, Grant, appreciate it, buddy. Thanks for a few minutes with me here, and continued success as we get back, hopefully, to first place here very, very sooner than later.
Yeah, thanks, John. Look forward to doing it again soon.
It is Hitting Hard with Jon Chuckery. We'll be back and talking a little bit about LeBron James up next on Locked On Sports Atlanta.